6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face. Blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Such sights to show you. We'll tear your soul apart.
Glass.
Woo! Hey everybody, welcome to Death Curse Society. I'm Red Crank. I'm here coming to you. We're going to be talking about the new show Evil, which dropped on Paramount Plus today. Season 2, baby. We're finally getting to Season 2. We had to wait almost a long 2 years for this, and I've been ready for this for a while. And the other guys, they're not going to join me today. I might get Ziggy in on a couple of these later down the road, but we'll see, so you're just stuck with me. If you don't like me, I expect those numbers to go down real fucking quick. But that's okay. That's okay. But we're going to talk about... Yeah, see? Already lost one. Bye. Let's see. We're going to talk about Evil here in a little bit. But first, yes, happy Father's Day out there. I actually got these and some chocolate cake and a nice card from my neighbors. Thank you to Sudeshna and Brian over there. Really appreciate it. I don't know if you're watching or not. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. But have you seen Season 2, Episode 1 of Evil? If you have, this is the place you want to be, because we're going to get into it here momentarily. Let me get a couple of things going here. Let's say hey, see who's out there watching. Looks like we got Ick in the house. Tyrone says, Dogs. S. Michael says, happy sperm donor day. Thank you. Yeah. Ick, of course, is saying, who's your daddy? And some of us are just like herpes. You're stuck with us. That's right. S. Michael says he finished it a couple hours ago. Loved it. Yes. We are going to get into that. And, and there's Kiara. She says, hello, Kiara. Hello to you. You should be getting your shirt in the mail tomorrow. I just checked the status of that. So I'm excited for you. Alrighty. Yeah, make sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, all those places. Get all that stuff out of the way. I don't have any of the regular sales pitch stuff to do on this one, so we're just going to get into it. Kiara, have you seen Evil episode 1 of season 2 yet? If you have, chime in on the comments. Make sure to send your questions in. I'm going to try to answer as many of them as we can. And so, yeah, let's get into it. All right, so the episode begins with a short wrap-up of previous events from season 1, including David claiming that he saw God once, but hasn't been able to discern anything from him since that time, except in the final episode of last season, David did have a vision of Kristen walking towards the devil in a golden wheat field. We then hear the voice of Orson LaRue threatening Kristen's daughters as she holds a climbing pick in her hands. I wonder what happened there. Yeah, we know what happened there. Ben notices blood on Kristen's leg later on, which she quickly cleans off. And finally, we are reminded of the overall evil arc of last season, which was, ironically, for Father's Day, a fertility clinic, which may be altering the eggs of its patients for devious reasons. If you watch season 1, you may remember a few of the children they investigated were products of that clinic, including the child who attempted to drown his baby sister and was later killed by his own parents. What a devastating episode that was. And then another child conceived from that clinic was Kristen's own daughter, Lexi, which provides another layer in this ever-tangled web. The narrative of the episode then picks up at the end of season 1, right there. So it's connected immediately, and I love when movies, TV shows do that. Kristen is informed of LaRue's murder by her friend Mira, who's on the police force. She then places a rosary in her hand, which quickly leaves a burn mark. Now, Kristen will later take the rosary to Ben for analysis, which he claims to contain cobalt, which could cause physical scars on the skin under certain circumstances. So that's one of the things I like about this show. They delve into the spiritual and the demonic and the supernatural a little bit, but then they give their physical reasons for why a lot of this stuff could happen. So that's kind of the dynamic that happens with this, and I like it a lot. Kristen begins to bury the climbing pick in her backyard, but sees the shadow of one of her daughters watching from an upstairs window. Later, we find out she only cleans the deadly weapon and hangs it back with the rest of her climbing gear. After this, she considers calling her husband, Andy, but instead attempts to call David. Now, David seems really desperate to decipher the vision of Kristen walking towards the devil, hoping to find an answer more innocent than we, as an audience, already assume. The murder of LaRue leaves Kristen in many precarious situations for the future. Will the police suspect her at some point? Will her friend Mira be the one that first suspects her? And what will lead her to those suspicions? Was Kristen possessed at the time of the murder? And did she invite the demon in to facilitate the crime? And will David or Ben discover her guilt first? And also, will they help her conceal the crime? Or will they turn her in? So there's a lot of questions right there in just the first few minutes of the show. Let's get back to some of the comments. Oh, Lorena says, hey, yo, dude, surprise me with a live stream. Yeah, well, Evil came out today, like I was mentioning, on Paramount Plus, and I completely love this show. I think it's great. So we did Slash Reports on Creepshow. I'm going to do them on Evil. Like I said, hopefully Ziggy will join us at some point down the road, but yeah. Kira's excited for her shirt, it looks like. Hutch says, I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to come back to this. Hutch, thanks for coming in, but get the fuck out of here. I don't want this to spoil anything for you. No, but she hasn't seen it, but she's spoiling it for herself. And then there's Ziggy right there. Wah! I don't have any of the real sound effects in here like we normally have. I didn't have a whole lot of time to throw this together today, really. S. Michael asked, did you watch Luke Cage? I did not. I haven't really gotten into a lot of that stuff. I'm still catching up on the Marvel movies. I think I just started Phase 3 or whatever they call it. I just finished Phase 2 not too long ago. I'm watching Phase 3. I may start watching those sometime this week. But guys, give me your thoughts on some of those questions. Do you think the police will start to suspect Kristen at some point? And who's going to turn her in, or who's going to think of her first? Will it be David and Ben, her co-workers? Will it be her husband, her family? Will it be Mira, the friend on the force? Let me know what you think in the comments, and let's chat about this a little bit before I move on. Hope you guys had a great Father's Day out there, the ones that applies to, and even the ones that it doesn't apply to. A Father's Day applies to everybody. We all have fathers somewhere, mostly, so, or we are fathers. So. Ziggy says, haven't seen it yet. We'll be caught up next week. Zigzag out. All right, yeah. Zigzags out. Gee, thanks. Just kidding, Ziggy. This episode is called N is for Night Terrors, and from what I've read, they're going to go with that theme throughout the rest of the season. Like F is for Fire is another one that's coming fairly soon. S. Michael has a question, it looks like. He says, did Kristen really kill the guy, or was it just a hallucination like her night terrors? I think she did. I mean, well, as I'm getting ready to get into here in a minute, she admits it to her psychiatrist at one point. The physical evidence of the pickaxe, or the climbing pick, and then the blood on her leg that was actually witnessed by somebody, I think she did it. She did it to protect her family. So I don't blame her one bit. So no more comments on there yet, so we'll move on here. I wrote down a few notes, if you can't tell, that I'm trying to read out to you guys, and then we'll discuss them along with some breaks here. All right, the next day, when the team is all together, Ben, who saw the news of LaRue's murder, seems fairly suspicious of Kristen, who tries to brush off his inquiries. And at the church, Bishop Thomas Marks directs the team to a man who is requesting an exorcism based on his past, where he sold his soul to the devil in high school. The man in question, of course, is ultimate baddie of the series, Mr. Leland, Leland Townsend himself. The team is torn about why they don't want to assess Leland. David claims he's demonic, while Kristen opines that he is just a psychopath. Bishop Marks, due to the donations that were made to the church by Leland, still wants their assessment and proof one way or the other. Leland playfully toys with the team, giving them pieces of his backstory, which they will later discover are lies. Leland also describes the devil to which he sold his soul, which strongly resembles the devil from David's vision. The team continued to debunk Leland's stories, such as how he asked for a bullying bus driver to be killed, and Kristen talks to his ex-wife, who is later involved in an accident that leaves her in a coma. Leland, desperate to prove he is possessed, shows them a tattoo behind his earlobe that he claims was put there by the devil. He further claims the tattoo is changing, counting down from 10. The team searches Leland's apartment and hack into his laptop webcam for remote access later. They also find photos of the mysterious sigil map that fed into their investigations in the first season, and a small bottle of tattoo ink, which debunks Leland's tattoo claim. Leland predicts that Ben will have a dream unlike any other tonight, and Ben does, in fact, experience a nightmare or night terror, where a demon visits him, sneaking into his bedroom. Now, does this mean Ben's skeptical views are cracking because of the work he's doing with the Catholic Church and this team? Leland seems to pay particular attention to Ben during their initial interview, asking if he believes in demons or even in God. Is this because he's intent to infiltrate Ben's life next and exploit his skepticism? Or is it because he's the only member of the team he hasn't personally tortured yet? Also, is Leland only using his request for an exorcism as a reason to get close to David, which is something we're going to talk about here in just a second, because he does say later on that David is the real prize. So, all right. Purple Goth's in the house. Hello, across the pond over there. Thank you for joining us. S. Michael says, I just spent a month watching true crime videos. If she actually did it, she's so screwed. Nobody gets away with murder these days, especially if they know the victim. Yeah, it's pretty hard. It's very tough to beat the murder rap anymore. Another comment here. Leland made me laugh out loud several times during this episode. The writing for his character is hysterical, but he was also super creepy looking into his computer and following Ben's gaze. Yeah, that was a weird scene there at the very end. And I liked how I'm not sure what purpose it serves. It may later on, but there's a point where David is recalling his vision of Kristen walking through the field towards the devil, and Leland pops up and starts doing this little disco dance or whatever. Killed me, cracked me up completely. I loved it. I thought that was great. I don't know if that's going to have anything pertinent to tell about the story later, though. I doubt it, but we'll see. So what do you guys think? Is Leland just trying to get close to David, or is he wanting to mess with all of this team, including, I mean, he's already kind of affected Kristen, at her old job and messed with some of the cases that she worked on in the past. Now, is he trying to get close to Ben as well and focus on his skepticism? Because Ben is the tech guy, basically, of this crew, if you want to assign roles. He's the one that does not believe in any of this. And, so that's one of the weird things about his character, and the fact that now he's experiencing some kind of night terror is a interesting twist. Looks like Cold Death is joining us, the Colonel himself. He says, I recall a vision of you being a bitch. Yeah, that's right. I said it. I'll read it, damn it. I don't care. Thanks for joining, Colonel. I know you haven't seen this show either, but you would like it if you watched it. S. Michael says, Leland seems to recognize the team as a threat and is now taking each of them on in separate ways. That's a good point. That's one way to look at it. I'm definitely curious to see where this goes later on, because so far, just one episode in, this was a fun episode, and it had to do a lot of setup because we've been away from the show for 2 years. So I've always thought Leland was really focused on David, but he was really messing with Kristen to get under David's skin. And now that's kind of come to a pretty dire circumstance with Kristen. I mean, shit, she killed somebody. Now he can get closer to David and focus more on him. So that's where I kind of think that's going. Let me know in the comments what you thought about that part of the show. And is Ben cracking? Because Ben, like I said, is the skeptic of the group. And there's a shot from shortly around the time that he experienced his night terror, and he's got a demon. It seems like a female demon that's coming to visit him. Very similar to George from season 1, who visited Kristen a lot. So, yeah. All righty. Well, let's see what this last comment is here. S. Michael says, okay, how about that dentist scene? What the fuck? Yeah, we're getting ready to get into that. During an impromptu visit to her own psychiatrist, Dr. Kurt Boggs, played fantastically by Kurt Fuller, I have to add, Kristen admits to killing LaRue and lays out her story after getting assurances that Dr. Boggs will not share her admission to the authorities. She also shows her rosary scar to Dr. Boggs, inquiring about psychosomatic symptoms. Could that be in her head because she killed somebody? Could she just be attaching some of the things that she's learning about with her job to her own personal life? Is it all in her head? that's what she's trying to figure out, and I don't know. I don't know yet. That's one of the other things about the show that I really like. It could all be a mind fuck. It could all be like those seasons of Dallas back in the day that were all a dream, and Bobby's still alive. I know that's a dated reference, but you get it. Some of you might get it. This scene, though, with the psychiatrist is one of the few scenes that I noticed in this episode where Kristen seems most like herself from season 1. The rest of the episode, she seems quite a bit different, which continues to be pointed out by even other characters. Leland says something to her at one point about, you seem especially fetching today, and Ben is really kind of keeping his eye on her, and it's very interesting. Are the emotions of killing a man boiling over inside of her to explode at a later point in the series, or will Dr. Boggs break his confidentiality and turn her in? That's kind of one of the big questions right now that I have anyway. So another thing that's going on is Kristen's daughter, Lexi, seems to be having fangs growing in her teeth, which is causing some discomfort and bleeding. So her dentist, during what should be a routine shaping procedure, they say, Lexi bites down on the finger of the dentist, nearly severing it completely. Is whatever devious plot by the fertility clinic finally affecting Lexi, or is this all a byproduct of Kristen's new job and how close she is to becoming to the dark side? Let me know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's demonic? Do you think it's just all in her head? That's kind of the weirdness about this. Bonnie Redmond is in the house. Thank you for joining us. She says she needs to check this out. If you haven't seen season 1, it is, I believe it's on Netflix still, the complete season 1. And then season 1 and season 2 will drop weekly episodes on Paramount Plus. So yes, if you haven't seen this, check it out. It's a lot of fun. There is some darkness to it. There are some decent scares to it, but it's cool. I really dig it. Purple Goth says, I never heard about this show. Definitely will be having a look. Yes, Purple Goth, like I said, it's on Netflix. She says, I think I've seen the trailer. Yeah. Check Netflix out, get your season 1 fix, and then pop on over to Paramount Plus and check that out. Dave is here. Woo! Welcome, Dave. Hope Canada is treating you well. He says, I should do my review on that stupid Freddy's Nightmare episode I sat through. Not today. We have one coming. You can chime in on that. How about that? S. Michael says, I don't think Dr. Boggs necessarily believed her, or maybe he just didn't want to, but he's already been through a lot with her, including an exorcism, so maybe he's starting to believe. That's a good question. Or that brings up a good question, because, yeah, when she first tells him the story of how she killed LaRue, yeah, he just, oh, really? You killed a man? Yeah, almost flippantly just, oh, tell me more. And could that have been just a psychological trick? Like, how do psychiatrists react when a patient confesses to a crime, especially a murder? Do they, just take notes like, okay, need to have a security guard on site when I see this patient next time? What do they do? That could just be a reflex, kind of a defense mechanism for the doctor. I don't know, but I like that question. That's a good one. I think he maybe didn't believe her at the beginning, but as she went through the story, yeah, I think she did, or I think he did. Kiara says, I have Netflix, going to check this out as soon as I can. It's 13 episodes. You will want to binge watch it. I'm just saying. I recently rewatched it again. I think I watched it in 2 days, maybe 3. But I don't sleep a lot at night, so that's just my own problem. Purple Goth says, I don't think it will be on the UK Netflix. We didn't get the Twin Peaks over this end either. Oh, damn it. Well, I I can't help you there. I don't know anything about the UK Netflix because. S. Michael said, my psychiatrist, I assume, told me I need to relax more. Well, if you've murdered somebody, then yeah, you should relax more. I guess. Now you're starting to worry me, S. Michael. I'm going to take a drink after that. Keep my eyes on you. I can't see you. That sucks. Anyway. Yeah, and what's going on with Lexi? I think this is going to be a bigger part of this fertility clinic as the season goes on, because she's a product of that clinic. So, Kristen admitted to that at the end of season 1 and even mentioned it again in this episode. So we're going to have to keep our eye on her, and is that going to affect the rest of the family in some way? So Purple Goth says, yep, Pirate Bay it is. That's where you need to go, I guess. And not recommending pirating, but if that's what you have to do, that's what you got to do. I ain't saying shit. She then says, if I like the first episode, I'll buy it. There you go. That's the ticket. All right. So, moving on a little bit. Although Leland has lied constantly, Bishop Mark still wants proof that he is a psychopath, or so Kristen begins to professionally evaluate him. Leland makes Kristen an offer, though, which I thought was an odd touch. He says, help him tempt David away from the priesthood, and he'll leave her daughters alone. David, he says, is the real prize. Now, there's a big question right there. What the hell does that mean? Why is David the big prize? Just because he is going to join the priesthood? Is that why he's the big prize? Kristen's assessment is that Leland shows all the signs of a psychopathic, narcissistic personality and does not require an exorcism. But Ben suggests an exorcism to see how he reacts, and that may be an interesting course of action, because you should be able to tell if he's faking it or not just based on that. Of course, Bishop Marks decides to move forward with the exorcism, but asks the team to observe. So I assume we're going to see that in a future episode. Maybe not the next one, but a few down the line. And then in the final scene, Ben checks the webcam on Leland's computer, finds Leland staring back at him. Leland seems to be kind of following Ben with his eyes as Ben moves around, which was, like S. Michael mentioned earlier, was creepy as shit. And then he begins laughing maniacally as the screen distorts. Does Leland know he's being watched, or is he just playing the part of this psychopathic, demonically possessed man? Now, the fun thing at the end of this episode was a brief preview of the rest of the season, narrated by George the Demon from season 1. I was kind of irritated we didn't see George. I was also kind of irritated we didn't see Cheryl at all, played by Christine Lottie. Holy shit, her character is just off the wall, bonkers, fun to watch. But George mentions that Kristen doesn't seem to be herself anymore. David is facing so many personal demons that it might obstruct his priesthood. Kristen's mother, Cheryl, scares him. No shit. His friend Leland is dancing too close to the flame, and that Ben is being targeted now. So even George knows that Ben is being targeted, which I guess all these demons chat with each other about their day, kind of like around the water cooler. How was your day at work? Oh, I got this one guy that I'm climbing on in bed. He's freaking out, but he doesn't believe in me. Do they talk like we do at work? I don't know. All these could lead to fantastic storylines throughout the rest of the season. And which one are you most excited for? Because I'm curious to see what happens with Kristen's family, mostly, because that seems to have the most consequences, I guess, is the best way to put it. So, yeah. David, if he doesn't become a priest, yeah, that's going to be crushing to him, but he'll find something. He's got resources. He may fall back into some of his bad habits. It sounds like he was a womanizer, probably a drug abuser back in the day. all kinds of bad habits. All right. Here we go. S. Michael says, my oldest daughter was in the room during the dentist scene and flipped her shit. We both started cracking up. Of course, I had to rewind it. Well, of course. Yeah. Dave, I think, is recommending the Purple Goth. Just get an amazing Android box. There you go. And then you should be able to watch anything. Ick says, demons in hell have ice water. You're so weird, Ick. I love it. And then S. Michael says, David's character has been built up as some sort of super priest or prophet. So if Leland and the dark side can thwart his ordination, maybe the proverbial shit will hit the fan. That is one of the kind of overall themes of this show is, you know, how is evil interacting with society anymore? Is it all demonic? Is it all explainable circumstances? And a lot of it, they're talking about it being technology. They have one episode where they have an influencer that doesn't know she's got an underlying audio track that can only be heard by kids that is telling them to kill themselves, basically. And that was an episode in season 1. And again, pretty decent episode. That one was probably not one of my favorites, but it was good for what it was. But yeah, is technology really fucking us up this much? I mean, I know a lot of people are glued to their phones, and I appreciate you guys being glued to your phones and your computers right now, at least. But I know a lot of people spend a lot of time glued to their phones and kind of missing out on the life that's happening around them. But is that really the evil that's inside everything? Robert and Michelle King seem to possibly think so. That's curious. So what are you looking forward to in the next episode? Are we going to see the exorcism of Leland? Are we going to get a different case? I think we're going to get a different case, and maybe the exorcism will be held off on for a couple, 3 episodes. Do you like this case of the week, almost procedural aspect of the show? Because they have their overall storylines that are kind of threaded throughout the season. At least they did in season 1. But then they also have like a certain case for each episode. Do you like that in the horror? Is that too much of a drag? Does it take you out of the story at all? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious what you guys think. So, yeah. How am I missing where's my overlay? There it is. Forgot to turn that on. Yeah, and man, I love Leland's character. Michael Emerson is just amazing in this role. It's almost too fun to watch him as a demon, but I'm enjoying the shit out of it. So I hope you guys are liking it too. Do you also, here's another question for you guys. There wasn't a whole lot of David and Kristen storyline on this because they've been kind of toying or flirting with each other throughout season 1. There wasn't a whole lot of that in this. Is that going to be an issue, especially if she is possessed and he's a priest? Is that what's going to happen there when Miyagi rubs his hands together? And woo, that could be dangerous. S. Michael says, I'm really looking forward to the subplot with Kristen's mom and Leland, as well as Ben's continued reality check. See, I asked that question earlier. Is Ben cracking? I mean, because he's been the hardcore skeptic ever since. Kristen too, but even Kristen's obviously starting to show cracks. And is that going to continue for Ben? I think so. I think Ben's going to have some very up and down episodes as we move on through this. And we got Tommy Click in the house. Hey, what's up, Tommy? Says, I love it. It rocks. I think he's talking about the stream. Maybe he's talking about the show. Tommy, if you haven't seen Evil, it's on Paramount Plus right now. Go check it out. And then Ah, there you go. That's a good thought. S. Michael says, I feel Leland wants Kristen to seduce David. Is that? I like where that might go. That's a good point. So, what do you guys think of Evil? Are you enjoying the show so far? Let me know what you think. I'm going to wrap this up, but what other questions from this episode did you get left with? What do you want to know? One last thing I want to leave you with is the fertility clinic thing, because I really want to get into that subplot, even though it's one of the main overarching plots that goes over most of the episodes. We didn't realize that until the last couple episodes of season 1, but I want them to start diving in and exploring that, because they did present some evidence to Bishop Marks in this episode about the fertility clinic, but he kind of brushed it off and said, yeah, I'll look into it, but I have this other thing that I wanted you to look at, which ended up being Leland wanting the exorcism. But see, that's the tricky thing about the Catholic Church. Are they going to consider eggs, like in a lab, able to be demonically possessed? Is that Catholics out there? Help me answer that question, because that's one thing that is going to be, you're going to have to thread that needle very carefully to make this work. And that's something I'm very curious about. So let me know what you think about that. S. Michael says, Kristen's husband said something disturbing in the last season about trading places with his daughter, who was in danger of death from a heart problem. I'd like to see if that comes back to haunt the characters. He did. I remember that episode where he basically prayed and asked for her to be healed if it meant you can take me instead. And is that what happened? We're going to have to watch and find out, because, again, I love this show because I don't know. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week. Same time, same bat channel for Death Curse Society's Slash Reports. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. This was a little fun. We'll hopefully have some of the other hosts, Zigzag or Colonel, to come in and chat about the next episode next week. But yeah, tell your friends. Let's talk about Evil, and join us next Sunday. And I'll see you next week with another Death Curse Society Slash Report. And you guys, happy Father's Day. Hope you had a great Juneteenth weekend, and we'll see you next time. DCS out. Woo!
Glass.